Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Hey, Faith Positive Nation, Dr. Joey Fawcett back with another episode of Faith Positive Radio. I really appreciate you listening in. I know some of you listen to these every single week, and that just means the world to me to be able to come into your morning commute or evening commute when you're walking your dog. You never walk your cat, but anyway, when you're walking your dog or walking yourself or something, it's just a real privilege for me to be able to whisper in your ear and to share with you the amazing guests that God keeps sending to us and has been sending to us between 5 and 6 years now. We just really appreciate the opportunity to help you increase your faith, to have greater joy at work, so that you at the end of the day can leave work and say, hey, I loved God and others more today. That's the greatest way that we can share the good news of Jesus Christ with the world, is love up on the people at work. So we appreciate you giving us the opportunity to speak into the conversations that you're having at work and at church and at other places about how faith fits in with your work. You know, there are all kinds of ways of working and all kinds of people that do work, and it takes all of us to keep the working world going around, right? But there's one thing that we all have to have at some time or another in our lives, and that is we need shelter. I mean, it's right up there with food, right? You need a place to hang your hat. And when I'm recording this particular episode of Faith Positive Radio, it's cold where I live. It's cold where Jane Cresswell, my coaching partner, lives. It's colder there. I mean, it's cold all over the world, except for maybe in a place like Hawaii or someplace like that, which is where I wish I was right now. But anyway, but we need shelter to protect us from the cold, from the heat, places like that. But maybe the most important aspect of shelter is that we can take, with the good Lord's help, a house and make it a home. And that's a beautiful thing, because home's where you hang your heart. So how do you go about finding that house to make it your home? And what is it about all these things you're hearing today about how real estate can produce income for you, right? You ever wonder about that? I do. And today's guest has our answers, because he is the man when it comes to understanding how we as Christian business professionals, Christian business people, can enjoy our own homes, but then also invest in real estate in ways that help provide for ourselves and our families and for our grandchildren and others. He's written a book. It's called The Real Estate Journey. Our good friend, whom you heard a recent interview with here on Faith Positive Radio, David Hancock and Morgan James Publishing, turned that book out a few months ago. Back in October of 19. And so Faith Positive Nation, help me welcome and get ready to learn from Dr. Brian Simon, author of The Real Estate Journey. Dr. Simon, welcome to Faith Positive Radio, man. I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me on today, Joe. Really was looking forward to it.
Oh, we are too. We are too. Thanks. So tell us about The Real Estate Journey. What took you on a journey to writing a book? Because not everybody writes books.
You know, I was saying, I moved here from West Virginia about 20 years ago to this Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads area. And I moved here to go to Regent University, and I had planned to teach and preach and do coaching, leadership training, things like that. Mm-hmm. And it was into the last part of my doctorate degree that I really got turned on to real estate and realized that real estate done well can be a very significant way to make an impact on the lives of people. And so I began that journey of real estate through some small things, at night, that I would find land for builders and do little things for a buddy of mine that I met at my local church. Mm-hmm. And one thing led to another. And when I finished my doctorate degree, I went directly full-time into real estate, which is a type of a thing you can do, without any type of a degree at all. Mm-hmm. I could have had a GED, taken my course, mm-hmm. and been rolling. But, I had gotten my master's, my doctorate, but I have found that I can apply those things, everything I learned back then. Mm-hmm. And I've been applying a lot of those techniques, the things that I learned, the things that influenced my life through that school. So I have no regrets on that. And
Right.
this last, 15, 18 years of walking real estate, walking with, our group of agents over these last 15, 18 years have sold over 800 million in real estate. And my home building company, we built over 200 custom homes. And it's been an ongoing experience of investment property, helping others find their dreams, helping real estate agents that join our company to become successful entrepreneurs. So it's changing the life and influencing lives of people in that financial way.
So you really help people be able to, it sounds like you provide a lot of jobs for a lot of people, because every nail that gets driven into a home, right? Somebody's driving it. And so everybody from architects to carpenters to plumbers get to do the work for you there.
Yeah.
So
The whole process.
yeah. So how did you become interested in real estate? Because I mean, here you are working on a doctorate in leadership, and then there's real estate that God puts in your path.
Yeah, I think I grew up with my dad. He would buy a rental property every couple years as I was growing up as a kid.
Uh-huh.
And so I always would watch that, but I wasn't a handyman like he was. I didn't have that kind of, I would buy a house, fix it up myself. Never was much working with my hands in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And but watching him, and as he built to a place over, a few years that he had a base income. And so he was able to quit his safe job, and he jumped out into business himself and bought a plumbing company that was going into bankruptcy. And then he ran that business for 15 years. And that's what, fed me through a good part of my life as a child. And, but it was the real estate that gave him that ability, the stable, base income that he could get that job. And so, so it was always something I had an interest in. I sure did not dream that was the path I would end up.
Yeah, so you saw Daddy doing it, but you didn't see yourself doing it. So what was that moment, Dr. Simon, when you said within 60 days after finishing your doctorate in leadership that you went into real estate full time? When was that moment when the Holy Spirit spoke to you and you said, this is what God wants me to do?
I was really grappling in my soul. Like it was this process that I was just not feeling like, do I dive into teaching and go and get a job and take my now newly only married for about 2 years. My wife was pregnant. Do I want to pack up and go get a teaching job at a university and do what I'm loving doing, teaching at Regent right now while I was doing my doctorate? Or do I go away from everything that I just spent all these years in school for and dive into what was in my blood, in my heart, like it was, pulling. So there's a couple weeks of this inner struggle. And then I was out at Smith Mountain Lake and I was just having like a little prayer walk on the lake. And I just was, talking to God and struggling with, this feels like what I want to do it so bad, but I feel like I'm going away from all this, all these people have invested into me, all these pastors and leaders, church, mentored me and poured into me.
Yeah.
But be disappointed, will everybody be mad at me? I'm
I know, because you're like a people pleaser, right? At heart.
I was a natural people pleaser. And so for me, that was one of my biggest struggles, and I came to terms with it in that kind of that walk around the lake, that if I follow what I feel is where God is taking me, then that's what matters. And that's what I need to do. And if I have the great thing, like my dad would tell me back then, because I when I was chatting with him, he's like, if you don't feel compelled to be in ministry, like you used to, think you were heading that direction, if you don't feel so tremendously compelled and you feel more compelled down this business, way, why would you not do that? Where my mama and some others on the other side were like, what are you doing, man?
That's right. You said you were going down this path of ministry, and here you're going to, but man, what a great question and really statement. Your dad asked you to assess how compelled you were to doing it. And so there are all kinds of reasons why people do what we do, right? But it sounds to me like God spoke to you, and your dad really helped you clarify that by asking you that, what are you compelled to do question. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful gift he gave you.
Yeah, my mentor, Larry Abraham, also hit me with a lot of I mentioned him in the book a few times. He was
Uh-huh.
one of my mentors throughout my life,
Mm.
and since a young man. And he would tell me, he was in that season, he was telling me, and my dad was saying the same thing, which was, anybody who goes into ministry and doesn't feel truly compelled, if you don't feel tremendously compelled at a truly deep God level, then you don't want to do it. You better
Mm.
you better be you bet especially if your heart is aching for other things.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so it
And
turned
yet
out business was where I really belonged, and I
that
think
was
where I fit well. And it's
right. And that's how God put you together, right? Dr. Simon was to be in the business world and to be in real estate. And really what you just said about going into ministry and how you need to be compelled. We really can say that about all of Faith Positive Nation. Go do the work that God compels you to do, the work that God puts before you, rather than all these competing voices, family being part of them, right? Who tell you to go do things for other reasons. So we're all called to do something in the world. And what is it that God's called you to do? So I absolutely love that. So you made that decision walking around Smith Mountain Lake. By the way, just for grins and giggles, I can stand at the horse barn towards the back of our farm and see Smith Mountain.
no
So
way.
yeah,
Oh,
so and
cool.
been to the lake many, many times. So I appreciate the small world that the Lord just put on both of us right here,
That's
right
what I
now.
mean. That's
That's
great.
awesome. So you began that. What were some of the challenges that you faced as you answered God's call on your life, Dr. Simon?
There was such a season. Well, the very first thing was I realized that I can't do both. So I tried to continue to teach coaching classes and things at Regent University
Mm-hmm.
while I was in real estate.
Right.
And within the first 4 months, I realized that for me, I needed to pick one thing. And then along with that, enjoy my family.
Mm.
And so I let go of those classes within just a few months when the semesters came up.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one little challenge. I went 100%. All I do is real estate, night and day, 7 days a week, unless
Mm-hmm.
I'm with my family, friends, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was if I'm going to succeed in business, I need to make sure I do it 100%.
Yeah, you need to be all in, right?
And not right. Yeah. So, and that's how I'm wired. Some people
Mm-hmm.
may be a little different.
Mm-hmm.
So doing that, as I began that, it's like, how sometimes you have a wonderful season of success when you
Mm-hmm.
begin something,
Mm-hmm.
then it's only later that you realize that maybe it's not always going to be perfect.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
first 2
East of
years,
Eden anyway, right? It's not going to be
my first
perfect.
2 years, money was rolling, checks were piling up,
Uh-huh.
success, everything I touched turned into money and success in
Sweet. Yeah.
financial success. And my dad would be like, son, please know that what you're experiencing is not normal.
Not everybody gets to enjoy
Not
this.
this, right. So you better be smart. You better be prepared. And
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't long in that the real estate crash, came right about 08, 09.
Oh yeah, big one.
So we had just started building homes only for a couple years. We had built like 14 homes our first year, my partner Kenton McClung and I. And then my real estate team was exploding in growth, and agents were
Mm-hmm.
making money. And even through the crash, our real estate agents were like doing great because I was spending a lot of money on advertising where most companies were not because of the crash.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was, a few years of, challenging, coming out of the hardest experience that I'd had, which was we bought all this land and now it's only worth like less than half of what we paid for it.
Yeah, that's
And
hard,
so
man.
that was a hard,
Yeah.
rebuild
So
experience.
how did your faith shape your response to those challenges, Dr. Simon?
Would I've been able to stay alive? I was under so much stress. would I have continued and kept pushing? If I didn't wake up and, and I could look to God for my strength and my hope.
Mm.
And I could get strong before I walked out the door or when I got home so that I can get to sleep. Like we were what we experienced at that time. Now if I experienced that, it wouldn't be as bad because I've had so many other hard times. So I've already been beat up in the last 15 years in business in so many ways, unbelievable. But that was my first the crash was my first real crash,
Oh, man.
So without that, I don't think my partner and I, would we have been able to continue the race? Would we have been able to work our way out of the debt that we had just gotten ourselves into, and then to go through that hard rebuild? And I was hoping it was only going to take a few months. And my mentors, Larry and my dad, were like, son, you're wrong. It's going to take you longer than you think. You don't just bounce back in 6 months.
Not from a 50% loss overnight, right?
Yeah. And they were right. Yeah. But that rebuild, that time of like, how do we make money in this market? Now, how do we, and then a few years later, I had to figure out how to change the brokerage into, from a team to a brokerage, and then from a, into a brokerage, into a one that fits this moment of, technology.
Right.
Real estate sales have changed huge. Everything in real estate has become, different than it was when I got in. And so, those, whether it's a crash or whether it's change in industry, whether it's economy, whatever, the bad things happen. And the question is can you wake up and can you go fight that day and push for the very best for your company and push your company to the next phase?
And so your faith in God's guidance, going back to that compelling sense of call to go into the real estate business in the first place, is what propelled you, got you out of bed. But then you said when you went out the door, you were fortified, or you were stronger, you were ready to go. What do you do in the mornings, Dr. Simon, to prepare yourself for facing the day?
I listen to some folks and they have these wonderful habits, so for me, you're probably asking me and be like, my habits are not as good as many people's are that I know.
But they're your habits.
But for me, I take a nice long shower, do a little stretching, put on some good worship music. And it's about remembering, here's where I am.
Yeah.
Here's where my family is. Here's where my businesses are. When I get my shoes on, walk out this door, I want to come home and feel like I pushed the parts of the business down the road they needed to go. And so it's kind of a recentering of like, I need help today. I need grace today. Yes. I know I'm going to get surprised today. That stuff's going to happen. I know somebody's going to yell and scream and cuss at me. I know somebody might threaten to sue one of my agents. I know somebody, it's going, doing a lot of transactions, hundreds a year. You see crazy stuff,
It happens. It happens every day. Well, I love it, man, because it sounds like to me your habit is to put on some worship music, get in the shower, and really just meditate on God's presence around you and in you, and that fortifies you for the day. I absolutely love it. Also want to know, what's your favorite worship music? You got a favorite artist?
I've been Jason Upton. I don't know if you've heard of him. He actually was a Regent University grad, and he went to school there when I was there.
Oh, cool.
And his music always resonated with me. So I that's one of my go-tos.
Jason Upton. Okay, Faith Positive Nation, let's get on YouTube or Pandora or some Spotify or something and look up Jason Upton and give a shout out to Dr. Simon's favorite worship leader, Jason Upton. Now, just in case you're wondering about mine, yeah, I'm 60, but I'm a Toby Mac fan. I am listening to either Toby Mac or Kirk Franklin every single morning. I'm loving up on them. Okay, so tell us about the book now, because the book's written for folks like me who really aren't in real estate currently, but are interested in generating some additional income, right?
That's one of the main, the book is like at the core, it's an entrepreneurship business book.
Okay.
Whether you're reading the positive affirmations in the back, whether you're reading the the story as I weave my own personal story into each
Right.
chapter.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it comes back to, as a business person, where's your mind need to be?
Okay.
Where do you need to, what fuzz do you let into your brain? What voices do you choose to listen
Fuzz.
to?
I
You
like
know,
that, man.
and how, so it's a lot of it is how did I make it through these different challenging times?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the chapter that's about, no perfect house, no perfect spouse. And that's when we go through the different types of homes and property that you can purchase. So whether it's your first investment property or whether you're looking to buy or sell your first house, it's just got some good basics of those types of things. In the last chapter, it's a financial section, because if you can't keep some of your money and you don't pay your taxes, or you don't do that, different things, you could ruin your business, your finances.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen so many entrepreneurs and real estate agents who I see as entrepreneurs, where they come in and they succeed beyond what you could imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't, in the end, they don't have any, because they spend it on stuff. They didn't realize how much taxes they needed to be prepared for. They didn't have the right tax structure set up in their business.
Mm-hmm.
So I hit on a lot of basic things like that as well.
Gotcha. So if I'm interested in real estate, I can go and find some great information. If I'm interested in this compelling call of God in my life to do something other than what I'm doing now, right? Something different, then I can find ways of doing that. And hey, man, who can't benefit from getting the fuzz out of their brains, right? I love that, man. That lint collects in the back corners of your brain, doesn't it? So you got to sweep that out.
Nowadays, with all the social media and all the kind of
Oh
stuff,
yeah, so much negative noise.
down. And
Yeah. So it really becomes a matter of prioritizing God's voice above all the other voices that are screaming at us, and how do we limit those voices? So your website's briansimon.com, right?
yes.
Right. And it's BRIAN, briansimon.com. And you've got some special bonuses for Faith Positive Nation there that we can go there and get, right? Some downloads and other stuff. Tell us about those.
Yeah, I've got some free downloads that you can pull down just to get your mind thinking, and it pulls some of the questions, things from the book. And there's also an e-learning section that I put up there now. And that's all about your legacy, your goals, your dreams, creating smart goals. It's a kind of an entrepreneurship coaching experience to help you to connect with what matters and what you see as your legacy. And, as you know, as a coach, Joe, it's asking powerful questions and asking them at times to ourselves, getting those things out on paper, and turning a goal into a smart goal, and turning a dream into a goal, so that it's a tangible thing that you can actually touch and change every day. So just some materials that are based on that, little parts I couldn't put in the book. So I had a lot of stuff to say and couldn't fit it all in.
Right. Yeah. So briansimon.com is the website. And is the book, The Real Estate Journey, available there as well?
Yeah, it's available there, or you can grab it at Barnes and Nobles or Amazon online. Any bookstore online should have it now.
Okay, sweet. Dr. Brian Simon, The Real Estate Journey is the book. It's about real estate, but it's about a lot more than real estate. It's about helping you live into God's compelling call on your life, and how you can get the fuzz out of your brain. Some positive affirmations there to help you with that. So Dr. Simon, Faith Positive Nation always wants to know from our guest about a favorite Bible verse or Bible passage. You're a man of the word. I know it's hard to choose a favorite. So have you got one to share with us?
I put a couple in my book, so I thought I'd pull that one out.
All right, go ahead.
In 2 Corinthians 12:9, also, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. So through insult, hardship, and I find that in business, and particularly, in the businesses that I'm in,
right,
is that it's that I feel many times like I've just been beat down, smashed, crushed. People have stolen tens of thousands of dollars from me. I've had, just so much stuff has happened in running real estate related companies for these years. And the only, and it's his hope and his strength that refills my soul so that I can continue my business, calling and growing and trying to empower people to succeed in real estate. So that's the one I grab.
Man, that's beautiful. Yeah. It's a daily pursuit for me to decrease so that Christ can increase. That's a beautiful.
And his grace rises up, man, inside.
Man, it really does.
You might be in some troubles.
Well, Christ told us in this world you're going to have a lot of trouble, but don't worry about it because he has overcome the world, right? And that's what I hear Paul saying. So I appreciate your honesty around the challenges of running your own business, man. It's there. Anybody tells you it's not, they'll lie to you about other stuff too. So Dr. Brian Simon is our guest on Faith Positive Radio today. BrianSimon.com is the website. Go there and get your copy of The Real Estate Journey, as well as some free stuff that'll help keep the fuzz out of your head and help you discern the compelling call of God for your work on your life. Dr. Simon, thank you so much. We pray God's blessings on you, your incredible wife, and your family. May your business continue to grow and impact others as they discover how to make a house a home. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Joe.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.